Barack Obama has come out with a statement. This was his baby. He led the effort on this, and obviously not too pleased that it has not come to pass with his successor. He says the nations that remain in the Paris Agreement will be the nations that reap the benefits in jobs and industries created. Going on here, he says, I believe the United States of America should be at the front of the pack, but even in the absence of American leadership, even as this administration joins a small handful of nations that reject the future, I'm confident that our states, cities, and businesses will step up and do even more to lead the way. Our former ambassador to the United Nations, John Bolton, on that. Obviously, he's not happy about it. We're already hearing from some of those nations that have signed on to it, nearly 200 of them, that they're not happy with it. But this was pretty well telegraphed. What do you think?
Well, I think it was an excellent decision. Look, the Paris Accord is a self-licking ice cream cone. Its purpose is to exist. In the short term, it really would have had next to no effect. The danger was in the longer term. In the short term, it's a bunch of national programs that you could have devised any way you wanted. The overall effect on climate by any reputable scientific analysis is zero. And countries like India and China basically said, our program for reducing carbon emissions will begin in 2030. So the near-term effect was remote. Why would anybody agree to something like that? Because of the failure of the predecessor agreements, Kyoto and Copenhagen. What they wanted was an agreement on anything to create the foundation for what they're really interested in, which is more international control over national decision-making. This is really a global governance issue, which the Europeans just love, which Barack Obama just loved, which Donald Trump has now rejected. There are lots of economic arguments here about the effect of this agreement. To me, the overarching, ultimately most important, more than constitutional question was, do we govern ourselves here, or are we going to cede governance authority to international organizations? And that's what's been rejected.
You know, Ambassador, regardless of people's views on this particular deal and accord, some have expressed concern that it could hurt how we work with Europe, let's say, and some of these other nations on dealing with terror, on trade deals, on that sort of thing. Are you similarly concerned?
Not at all. I mean, that just is a fundamental misconception of how international diplomacy works. We've heard these arguments before. In the Bush administration, my first job was to get us out of the 1972 anti-ballistic missile treaty. Oh my God, the Europeans said. Oh my God, Joe Biden, John Kerry, Barack Obama, Chris Dodd said, it's the end of international strategic stability. We got out, nothing happened. We got out of the statute creating the International Criminal Court. Nothing happened. And nothing will happen here either, other than people will recognize we're not going to engage in this kind of blue smoke and mirrors in order to get to more international control. I think it will cause people to say, if they're serious about this, if they want to really make a difference, then they're going to have to enter into serious negotiations. The fundamental point is we could be dealing with global cooling here. If the objective were to put more carbon emissions into the atmosphere to increase the Earth's temperature, these people would be arguing for the same structures, because their overall objective is more international governance and less national sovereignty.